governance. Thank you, Irina, for coming. We have Adrian Georgescu, the big guy at the end of the... He's our director of the National Agency in Romania. Very important. So the easy questions will go to him. Cezar Huj, coming and representing the Romanian Executive Agency for Funding, Innovation and Research in Higher Education. Hello, Cezar. Horia Uniță, Head of Secretariat of the European Higher Education Area and former President of the European Students' Union. Hi, Horia, and welcome. And last but definitely not least, we have two special guests. One you already heard it. It's David Locke, the President of Magna Carta Observatory. Hi, David, and thank you for contributing to this panel. And Anne Lequi, former Chair of Learning and Teaching Steering Committee of the European University Association. Hi, Anne, and we are very proud to have you here. Okay, let me change the page. And here is written, the moderator opens the round table by introducing the central idea. What's the central idea? Alliances, of course. So let's break the ice and warm up a little bit with a common question which goes to all of you. What is for you a university alliance? Thank you. No pre-established order. If any, if not, I'm going to point out. Am I going to start? Next question.
The proximity, right?
Exactly.
First of all, I'm very honored to be here. Congratulations and happy birthday, CIVIS Alliance. In order to answer to your question, imagine that in one morning, one of my colleagues from Università degli Studi di Torino, the coordinator of UNITA Alliance, called me the 8 o'clock in the morning and told me, Irina, I have the solution. I can't sleep all the night, but I have the solution to our issue, to solve something in our alliance. So, for me and for us in UNITA Alliance, we don't talk anymore about a project. Of course, we are aware that we should define and reach our objectives and report the achievements. But more of this, it's about the feeling of home. It's about receive a call in the morning and to have this feeling of easy talk with someone you share the same concerns and the same vision. It's a lifestyle.
Thank you, thank you. And don't forget that his 8 o'clock is 7 o'clock in Torino. That's important. Horia, what's for you an alliance?
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation as well. It's always a pleasure, especially as a graduate, but also as a student of the University of Bucharest. If one would have asked that question 6 years ago, we would have had more answers than at the Rothschild test. You know, the test with trying to understand the forms. And that because at that point, the University Alliance was everything for everyone. That's partly good because it allows diversity, but we also see some red threads. It is indeed about the community. Apart from the structural change, apart from the transnational level of governance, apart from the transformative potential, I also think it's about rediscovering oneself. As a university, when you cooperate at an alliance level, you need to understand what you contribute with, and it's a constant reflexive exercise, seeing how you are part of that element. And apart from this, it is, and that's my let's say so bias, it is about learning and teaching at the end of the day. Everything else, it's nice to have, it's an add-on, but it is about transforming learning for students in an European mindset and European framework.
Thank you. Let's, go to you, Cezar.
Thank you. For me, when I look at alliances, I look at an instrument of Europeanization. Before alliances, we were talking about this only in international relations offices. After the alliances, now we are talking about much more, not only in international relations offices, but also in curriculum. We are talking about governance. We are talking a lot about funding, unfortunately, but it's much more. And because I work a lot with graduate and dropout data, I would like to say that when I look at alliances and how do you see a success story, I think that we will consider this a really success story when we will be talking not about successful European projects, but when we don't talk about projects at all when we talk about alliances. So it goes beyond that.
Excellent.
The biggest change between the original Magna Carta, 1988, and the 2020 version was the emphasis on universities serving society. So when I look at alliances, I ask myself the question, in what ways can universities best serve society? And if you look at the sort of big questions that universities are addressing at the moment, no one university has all the disciplinary expertise to address that problem. And so I would start from the point of alliances enable universities to serve society much better. But I think there's one more thing. If we think about the students that we are helping to generate, those students might at some stage in the past have envisaged a career in their own country. I don't think that's as true now. And if one looks at some of the bigger problems in the world, cultural understanding and so on, the opportunity for students to spend time in different countries, in different cultures, as a normal and natural part of their studies, actually prepares them in a much more meaningful way for their future beyond university.
Thank you.
We had a couple of weeks ago, we were asked, or it was a discussion, do we put a definition of alliances in the regulation of the Erasmus program? And we discussed that a bit, and there is now a proposal in the regulation. And this definition is very broad, and it was on purpose not too specific. Because how I see alliances there, and according then also to basically this definition we have put there, is an association of universities who aim to systematically and with a deep collaboration work together on a specific topic. And we discussed it, or then was also the question, do we put in something like research based, so that they also work on research? But not all alliances will do that. So what the alliances for me makes it very interesting, and I think that is also the reason why they are so successful, is that we have such a huge variety of alliances across Europe. So if we look at the 73, they have some common features, they have partners in different countries, they have a common governance structure, they are trying to embed it really in the daily life of their universities, they aim for deeper collaboration, but based on what they are working, what type of institutions they are bringing together, what type of problems they are addressing, they can have a very different style in the end. And I think that was one reason why I think the whole system worked, because universities could find an added value in this cooperation. And for me, therefore, I would also very much go in the direction universities form together alliances to answer better to their tasks, to their missions, and to allow and offer also students and researchers a broader perspective in their studies, in their development, in their research.
Thank you. I would like to, of course, I agree with all things which have been said. I would like to stress maybe three special topics. The first one is early adopters. I think alliances are able to go innovative path, early adopters in new ways of teaching, researching, and transferring through missions of the university. But they shouldn't remain isolated, but disseminate into the rest of the system. And at EUA, we are quite conscious that we shouldn't have a two-tier system, but we should all benefit from the new aspects discovered by the alliances. The second topic is about solidarity. I'm a French woman working in Germany, in the eastern part of Germany, in a land, Saxony-Anhalt, and we may be the first land in Germany to have a very populistic government in September. And I'm quite emotional about that because I've just read their so-called governmental program. It is crazy. They want us to leave Bologna, principally. And solidarity could be very important for us then, expressed through the alliances. A way for us to get trust, approval, maybe also financial help from the members of the alliances being elsewhere. I hope it will not come to that point, but I cannot. I'm not sure that it's the case. And all in one, my profound personal wish is that we are able to benefit as a whole system, as a whole ecosystem, as we say a lot, from this big investment in knowledge, in pedagogy made by the European Commission. And this makes us in Europe extraordinarily attractive for the rest of the world. This is the third dimension I would like to enhance, because I think we are not very much conscious about that. We have an enormous privilege to be on this continent and to be able to disseminate with a high level, still high level of academic freedom, and I hope it will remain the same, maybe in 5 years.
Thank you. Karl?
Thank you. I would say that European University Alliance are a lever to transform the European Union, and to reinforce European integration, if I take my hat of European citizen. And so, as it transforms the European Union, it is also something that provides hope for citizens in a period where the European Union tries to, tries to address fears, address threats from the outside, and challenges linked to global competition. And if I take my hat of executive director of an alliance, I see it also as a very powerful lever to accelerate the integration of the European higher education area and the European education area, but also, as said before, the European research area. And we see it not only at the level of institutions, but at the level of these areas where we know there are a lot of barriers, national barriers, local barriers, that on a very practical, operational way are addressed, are analyzed, are, addressed by experts. And François Hendricks started explaining or presenting this amount of expertise, of experience that alliances have developed over the past years. We see it in mobility schemes. We have various mobility schemes in each institution, in each country. We see it in digital aspects of universities, and the amount of specific expertise of alliances attached to alliances, not only to individual universities, that enable these large institutions to advance the European Union in a very practical and technical way is impressive and should be valorized.
Erasmus Alliances and Erasmus. 7 years ago, before starting the Erasmus University Alliances, the program entered in a certain, let's say, operational inertia, implementing mobilities, project mobilities from year to year in the same format. The emergence of the Erasmus University Alliances, let's say, forced or in a constructive way to re-energize the Erasmus Plus program. Erasmus Alliance, University Alliances and also Erasmus Alliances and the Erasmus program evolved together during the whole period. In this sense, University Alliances need Erasmus Plus as much as Erasmus Plus needed alliances. University Alliances needed Erasmus for having, let's say, a framework for financial and operational one, and Erasmus Plus needed University Alliance to break this inertia and to accelerate the innovation, because the University Alliances pushed the program, first of all, to innovate, and I'm thinking here to the blended intensive programs, to rethink the mass mobility oriented to the institutional transformation for the universities, and to move towards an Europeanization of the higher education system. That's why, thanks to University Alliances, Erasmus Plus in 2019, it was in a kind of revitalized situation. Thanks.
Thank you. No, we'll stay there. I changed the order, my intended order. Do you think that now University Alliances, this wonderful initiative, it's mature enough to get out of the Erasmus framework and be on its own foot? That means its own financial program? Or what's your feeling from inside? We still have to stay in Erasmus and maybe the couple of years to get out? Because there are at the level of European Commission various discussions with Horizon to have dedication funds for alliances to get out from Erasmus. But do you feel that, are you prepared? I mean, we, Europe as a whole, are we prepared for that? And of course that will go to Susanne as well.
Let's take it as a joke, let's say. You are just in the first class right now after 7 years.
Okay.
you still need the Erasmus Plus program from my point of view, because somebody mentioned before that there are only, Susanne mentioned, 65 alliances, 8 Student Excellence Alliances, 650 universities involved in alliances all over Europe, less than 15% of the whole higher education institutions all over Europe. That means still we don't have a critical mass created to move things towards better, let's say, European higher education area for the whole universities. I can answer with a question. What's changed from your point of view, for example, in last 7 years for the other 85% of higher education institutions all over Europe? What changed in the national educational system? What change brings the European University Alliance to the national systems? I think that still Erasmus could be a good house for university alliances, and because we are still keeping and we are still having constraints regarding the mass mobility, the recognition, for example, and that's why probably a system how Erasmus framework for a better implementation of this, it's still a help for university alliances.
Thank you. So, yeah, Susanne, we are in the first grade.
Yes,
Are we mature enough to go to a different school?
Spoiler alert, I would keep the alliances for the moment in Erasmus+. No, but basically also, the question would be, what would it bring the alliances if they would go into another separate legal basis or so on? We are seeing the situation rather in the sense that, and that is also the Commission proposal for the next MFF, to create more synergies between programs. So in the scenario the Commission is proposing for the next 7 years, the alliances have their home, let's say, or their home base for the core funding in Erasmus, but should get more possibilities to reach out into other programs and to get money from there to really fulfill their missions, which is not possible under Erasmus. So to bypass the limitation maybe the Erasmus program has for the alliances. But I think at the moment we are still in a situation where we are working on this and really opening the space to funding access. And I fear going now for either moving the alliances to another program or having a kind of own legal basis would not necessarily give more room for the alliances, but rather put them in a corner. That would be my fear in such a scenario. Therefore, I think we still have a little bit of things to do on the development path. And we are happy to have the alliances in Erasmus. We would miss them so much. And I would also coincide with the remarks before on the other universities.
Okay, thank you. Horia, you would like to add something in this respect?
Thank you. Just very quickly, you have chosen a very fertile topic for the session, academic diplomacy. And academic diplomacy is not only at a regional level or between institutions or with other countries of the world. There is also the academic diplomacy of alliances at European level. The EU doesn't have competencies in education, but alliances are the flag bearers of higher education in relation to not only research, but also security, now competitiveness. So maybe we can also think more about how alliances are doing this academic diplomacy in our own house in relation to the funding from other policy fields.
You stole my question. Thank you. Okay, let's stay a little bit in this direction. I'm going to ask Cezar, who is representing our national funding agency. Do you think that it would be good to have now, since half of our universities are part of the alliances, to have a dedicated program only to the universities, the Romanian universities, which are part of the alliances?
Thank you. First of all, I see the funding of alliances as a three-legged chair. You have the European funds, you have the national co-funds, and of course the own budget. So without any of those legs, the chair will go down. So on the national side in Romania, as you know, there is a co-funding. There are other instruments that can be better developed, like Institutional Development Fund. There are funds for internationalization, which could be dedicated more for alliances rather than any other stuff. And of course, this should be one of the streams of funding for alliances. But this already exists. The question is, how do we improve it? And how do we improve it without increasing the reporting side? And that's another touchy topic in Romania about reporting, about how we explain how we spend the money.
Now, because Horia pushed me towards this academic diplomacy, a question for David and Anne. Can alliances strengthen the academic voice of Europe, and if yes, how?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Focused on issues, specific issues, problems. One university speaks up, who listens? A group of universities speak up, lots of people will listen. I should not perhaps share too much of what we've done in Magna Carta, But you'll know there are situations in the world where academic freedom is not quite what it should be, and institutional autonomy is not quite what it should be. Individual universities writing will have no impact at all. Dialogue with the education minister, calmly setting out the consequences of going down certain roads, has achieved a change in legislation that would have not have happened without a group of universities being involved.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we.
Yeah.
And maybe just an explanation from my German point of view, because alliances reflect the variety of university types we have. An alliance cannot be compared to another alliance. When I just take one or two very different examples of the complementarity of alliances among themselves. In Germany, I know of alliances being in very big city, having a kind of I would say, mundane way of being, in a kind of very visible on the map and very conscious of their mission in global terms. They face specific problems, but for instance, they don't face the problem of being not attractive enough for students. They are together in in an alliance with identical universities having the same DNA, let's say. And they are comfortable because they have the same kind of identity as an institution. And then you have a second type of alliance. I know much better because I come from such an institution, University of Applied Sciences in smaller cities, sometimes in the middle of nowhere, and having a regional, I would say, provincial mission in a way of elevator for a lot of students coming from families who are not academically privileged. And this type of University of Applied Sciences have also a different kind of alliance with other University of Applied Sciences. Maybe sometimes they don't have this name in other countries, but we recognize quite easily our colleague in Geist, I would say. And all these different complementary types of alliances are needed to have a system work in a democratic and let's say, demographic, efficient way. Because we address different kind of public, we address different kind of missions, we answer to different kind of problems from the industry, from the society. And I wouldn't say the one are the best and maybe the other one are not so best, but you all need the characteristic of the different players to have a good team at the end.
Thank you. And now I have a question directed to Irina and Karl, who are more involved in the anatomy of an alliance, so to say. And my question is the following. For instance, I witnessed at the University of Bucharest that traditionally with all our three pillars, teaching, research, and civic engagement, we had all kind of and we still have all kind of strategic partnerships. And after the alliance came, it was a very interesting inside effect of the University of Bucharest, a better coordination among teaching, research, and civic engagement, because at a certain point we have the same. We kept the traditional partners, but we have the same partners. So these three important pillars of any university were better coordinated. So it's like an inside effect of belonging to a university. Now my question to you, Irina, because you are very involved in that and also after that with Karl, can you tell us a kind of inside effect in your university because of the belonging of an involvement in an alliance?
Yes, we can talk at this stage about transformation, not only change, but transformation. In some aspects, of course, not in all aspects which define a university. For example, through our matching events we organized in education and research, and through starting grants, for example, the research skills were really developed in an international manner. Our communities learned to genuinely collaborate, and for the first time, perhaps, we feel that our teachers, our researchers are really open to other perspectives. And this interdisciplinarity, not only in a declarative way, but in a very concrete way within the Alliance, had this inside effect for West University of Timișoara, but not only. Also, we can talk about a spillover effect, very interesting, because some of our university partners, which are not member in European Universities Alliances, take somehow our model and try to implement, try to understand and implement in their universities. Because indeed, the alliances and the Europe will be successful if the pace is the same and if many higher education institutions will be involved. And this is our role to promote our models. And perhaps this is another inside effect. We feel as teachers, as researchers, through BIPs, through COILs, through advanced research projects we conducted together, we feel that we really act as models. And it's a good feeling. And this openness to ideas, to perspective, to interdisciplinarity is a real gain for us.
Thank you, Irina. And also, before Karl will answer that, I have to tell you that, and I'm pretty sure that in all our countries where we have CIVIS partners, but in our country, Irina's university has this very nice initiative to make a inner alliance of all the Romanian universities which are part of the alliances. And we are discussing inside various problems, and we can better coordinate, with what is going on in other alliances. And I think that's a very good initiative, because we are sharing practices and all kinds of issues and problems.
And we can be influential at the national level, because we have an excellent collaboration with Erasmus.
Yeah, exactly.
The National Agency and with the Ministry of Education. The law was changed.
Exactly.
The alliances appear explicitly in documents, so it matters.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Karl?
Yes, thank you, Sorin. I'm not sure I hear very well because the sound here is, the acoustic is difficult, but I think it's about the inside effect in universities. And I think this is a question for each university at all levels, at governing bodies level, of course, at directorate level, department level, units level. But we have, of course, measured this over the past year, the inside effects with interesting and encouraging numbers in terms of what is the impact of the European University Alliances in institutions. Another question that I would ask that results from your question is to what extent university senior leadership, universities governing bodies and alliances governing body wish to have an inside effect that is really transformative. And this is also dependent on the impetus from the European Union. And the funding model that is proposed, or that will be discussed among European institutions, between the European Commission, the Parliament and the Council, on how to provide this impetus that enables governing bodies of alliances, individual universities to have a long-term visibility, and as a result to also, let's say, product effects inside on institutions, but also joint programs and articulate education and research. So I understand this is a discussion that is ongoing, very important discussion to which we need to be very, we need to pay attention. And yeah, of course, then a second impetus is the degree of integration within universities. Are European universities standardized among different departments and units in universities, so that they become one part of the university's DNA? That's a question to the university's, let's say, senior leadership and staff, on also based on their experience, day-to-day experience.
Thank you. Now I have a question for all of you. You know, in my initial intervention, when I was supposed to be more presidential advisor, I think I was more university coordinator. But now maybe I can back and having this overview picture given by, you know, being at the presidential level. My question goes in the following way. We are atoms combined in molecules, and we didn't have any pattern. So the Commission said you can organize however you want. Can we, after 7 years, because we were an alliance from the first wave, so also 7 years is the age of the alliances. Can we, after 7 years of having alliances and having this wonderful initiative, extract some beneficial models which can be implemented, and such that to have what Irina has said, like a common basis? Because don't forget, we are united in diversity, but if diversity is too diverse, it's very hard to unite us. So my question is, do you know examples of very good practices or models of some alliances which can be implemented in other alliances, such that to have a beneficial effect inside an alliance? It's a moment of reflection, as Horia has said.
Okay, maybe I can start.
Yeah, please.
I think, yes, there are probably, and I can't put a list now, and I will certainly not name alliances, of course, it's completely out of discussion, but I think there are some factors we see which seem to be more successful than others, and I would confirm that we probably over the next years have to investigate a bit more into this, what makes alliances successful and especially what makes them sustainable. And I think one part is really if the participating institutions manage to get the institutions deeply involved in that, so that the alliance is not a project only of a part of the institution, but is really strongly embedded in the top leadership of an institution, as part of becoming a part of what the institution is. I think that from what we see, or what I would assume is a key point in the development of an alliances, is also a key point when it comes to sustainability. I think also the other parts is that, and maybe that's a precondition for getting to this kind of sustainable thing, is what is the inner link between the institutions in the alliance. So do they have a common topic? Do they have really a common DNA? Do they have something which really makes it super attractive to them to work together and to maintain this independently of funding or other conditions? Because I think in the end of the day we are all clear that the Commission will not be able to fund, and it doesn't do it anyway, the alliance all time and 100%. The member states will also have to chip in the institutions themselves. So in a way it will always be a little bit of a mixture. But for making that happen and making that wanting by institutions, they have to have this inner Geist, the Geist which really combines them and brings them together. And then I think really that, for me, that is what I see so far as a key element.
Thank you. Somebody else would like to pick it up? Okay, Anne?
I would like to stress one aspect of what Susanna said from the bottom point of view I have. And it's about sustainability in expert organization. We are all embedded in expert organization because universities are made of experts. They are not made of employees obeying a boss. And that's a big challenge. That's, of course, a necessity to be able to think in a free way. But it can be also a big challenge when it comes to sustainability, because as a manager or leader in a university, you can encourage the professors, your professors, to engage into an alliance. You can pave the way and have some nudging offer and nice encouragement from the side, but you have to be patient and intelligent and respectful and hope that the flame will start in them. The motivation carrying them through the process. They shouldn't receive the order from the top, but they should discover and reinvent for themselves the advantages of being part of the alliance. Because usually in research, you choose your partners according to your field of discipline. The rector will not tell you, write a proposal with this guy because I would like to write a letter of intent or memorandum of understanding with it. No, it doesn't work that way. And the key point for alliance is to have the flames in every professor, of course, students. But I think about sustainability, it's important to have the professors being emotionally, cognitively, in all dimensions of their being involved into the alliance to discover that it is their alliance. It's not the alliance of the boss or, let's say, the Senate or the governing body. And then you will have reached a certain level of sustainability because a project carried by many shoulders is, of course, more sustainable than a project being, we say, Spielwiese in German. It means a playing field for only a few. It has to be a Spielwiese for the whole institution. And then you can change one or two people, and the rest will keep the flame burning.
Thank you. Davy, you will keep the Geist?
Yeah. As you've asked it, it's a very difficult, even impossible question to answer succinctly. But how would I start to answer it? And I would start to answer it by looking at alliances that are outside the education world. And I would look at them and I would ask myself the question, why does this work? You know, what's the purpose? What's the politics? Why does it work? Anne is absolutely right. It's passion, it's people that enable these things to work well. And I think what I would focus on, and maybe I can lobby you, is I'd look at how these alliances are led and how they are governed. And does the leadership model enable people to lead? And does the governance model provide sufficient steerage, safeguards, and so on? And so I don't think there's a single answer to your question, but I think by looking at those bits, you may get to answers about how some of them could perhaps operate more effectively.
Thank you. Horia, you intended to?
Yes, thank you very much. A couple of points. First, indeed, a whole institutional approach. If the alliance is on the 5th page on the 20th strategy of a university, of course it can be something that looks nice, but at the end of the day it won't make the meaningful change that we want to see. That's the first one. The second one is looking at the bottom level and how students and staff at the institutional level are getting engaged. If you have an alliance where only people from the top level management engage, then of course it can be very strongly supported, but management change. It can change in 5 years, it can change in 10 years, 15 years. You need to have the values at the community level to be there. The third one, being ambitious doesn't mean being unrealistic. There is the good heart law that if a measure becomes a target, it's no longer a measure. For example, the 50% mobility target in X years, that was a suspension of disbelief. Nobody was believing it. So let's try to do step-by-step approaches and to actually make it meaningful instead of trying to see how to achieve a target that is not achievable. Do not reinvent the wheel. That's another element. It's about trying to see where you can innovate and then looking at what you already have. For example, and here is my bias, the Bologna tools. You don't need to reinvent them. You need to apply them and you need to tell member states, look, we are cooperating so intensively that you cannot pretend that you are implementing the Bologna commitments if you don't, because we see it in practice, that the problem is there. It doesn't matter that on a map or in law you mention that you implement the tools. If you don't do in practice, we as alliances, we see that. So that's another element right there. And finally, it's also about focusing on the purpose. It's an upward convergence at the end of the day. It's always easy to look at the lowest common denominator. Just to give an example, I heard recently that academic windows, academic calendars are a big issue. We have been working in Erasmus for 25 years without a uniform, perfectly uniformed academic calendars. Of course, it would be better to have a better alignment, but we don't need to count any minor inconvenience in that sense as a barrier. So looking at what needs to be prioritized in terms of removing barriers is important. And finally, focusing on the purpose. And the purpose is to innovate. It is to have a better experience for students. And in this sense, I would also like to appreciate the fact that CIVIS is a leading alliance in that sense, always reiterating the link with Bologna process, looking at innovative learning experience, at the end of the day, student-centered learning. So student-centered learning was invented, to say so, maybe too much as a paradigm in Bologna. It is a hallmark of Bologna, and in CIVIS there was so much output in how an alliance can transform this. And this is, I would say, a very good example to take forward.
Thank you. Now another question. What do you think? Could and still can the alliances overcome the fragmentation of the European higher education? Are they a kind of driving forces which can unite us at a level in which, the nation have the competencies? Irina?
Try, yes, and an answer, and I like to come back a little bit to the previous question as well. I think the answer for me is yes. We have the drive, but with one condition. All our actions at European level, at national level, at individual level, to be convergent. And from this perspective, your question about maturity. Maturity means time, means effort, means commitment. I think talking to the alliance's maturity is half of the problem. Because we can talk and we should talk about the maturity of the entire organisms, atoms, molecules, molecules, right? Because indeed, the European Commission and the Europe encourage these alliances to be creative. Some rules for project, actually, not how to develop the alliance. The solutions were at our level, and we had and have total freedom to develop ideas and joint actions. But now, from that Brownian movement, which can create creativity, now, in my opinion, it's time to be organized and to be systematically, to have a systematized convergence between all the actors. Because if the educational actors and not only political actors, they are not aligned, it's very hard to see the effect of our alliances. So I believe in maturity as a sign of balance between all the elements.
Okay, thank you.
And in terms of, terms of a good practice, I heard my colleague talking about students, and of course, for example, we had elections. Our students organized themselves. Elections could be a good model to be promoted.
It's already in CIVIS as well.
Yeah, excellent, excellent.
Good. Do we have other? I have plenty of questions. If you don't want to pick it up, that's it. Unfortunately, what we don't have is time. Would you like, Karl, to pick it up? I mean, how can we overcome the fragmentation of higher education at the European Union?
I will certainly not be able to answer this question alone and now, but I think the alliances, and CIVIS, for example, is one of several examples of alliances having thought about the operational dimension, also the concrete setting up of joint degrees. And there is a knowledge, technical knowledge, legal knowledge, and operational knowledge that exists in alliances, in CIVIS, for instance, in CIVIS units, in work packages, that is very valuable. And in this way, the alliances are, let's say, before the evolution of the European higher education area, are advancing it because they are in a way, a priori, thinking already about the implementation of something that will radically change European higher education area by enabling on the ground, concretely, within institutions, between teachers, staff, researchers, recognition and implementation of joint degrees.
Okay. Susanne?
One point to add, several national agencies have published a report a couple of weeks, months ago, where they investigated how higher education institutions think about joining an alliance or not, and if, for example, those who have either failed in an application or those who have never applied, to find out what the reasons are. And I think I can't report about the whole thing, but what I found clear is, first of all, there is an expectation of other higher education institutions to learn from alliances and to adopt practices and to really benefit in that sense. There is also probably a quite big group of higher education institutions, very small ones, which realistically say we do not have the capacities to join an alliance. But nevertheless, I think that the big win is that establishing long-term collaborations with another institution is not a fantastic, unclear idea, but it has something, it becomes something concrete. So it's not a phantasma, let's say. And that is also something which I see. There was this example of the Romanian universities being member of alliances coming together. In other countries we have the same. And even, for example, at the land of Berlin, the universities in the land of Berlin, which basically is only Berlin, have now also formed such a group, and before they have not worked that closely together. So I think this whole idea of, as an institution, I work closely together either with my neighbor or in an alliance, this has become much more prominent. The other point maybe on the research side, we saw also in a discussion that there are lots of good practices in alliances to share, for example, the resources in research services, helping young researchers to develop their career services. So I think there are lots of elements where alliances really practically help on that.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have only 5 minutes left, but still a lot of questions. But I will go with one, and if you can have a quick, substantial reply, you are my guest. We in Europe, we would like to have a continent in which our democratic values are protected, a higher autonomy, and a very attractive place for innovation and creation. And my question goes towards this line. How do you think that university alliances can contribute to these strategic European goals? Very quickly.
I'll offer a starter.
Please.
I think the key word is communication, and the key word is involvement. So if there is, at an early stage, clear communication, invitations, and so on, that are then properly considered and digested and so on, then I think you build in an element of democracy.
Please.
We asked ourselves these questions a few months ago in Germany, especially in my land, and we got an answer from a sociologist. He's called Pasternak, and he has written an excellent article about what can university do in order to support democracy. And his answer, put in a nutshell, maybe not very exact, but the spirit of it is, don't try to make any on-top offer, special courses for democracy and any offer extra next to the curriculum, but try to live democracy in your courses. For instance, use any discipline you have, even the hardest one, and not only the soft one, to have the students live what democracy means. It's about, I think, 5 principles. Not sure we get the 5, but it's about communication competence. It's about conflict competence. It's about ambiguity tolerance, yeah, to be able to live with ambiguity, and so on and so on. And all these competences, which has been identified as being helpful for democracy, can be experienced in all kinds of courses. And of course, you can have this meta-reflection on, by the way, we live today a democratic debate, or you can just let it go, and the students will be democratically progressing on their way to European citizen.
Thank you. Still 2 minutes. No pressure, no pressure. Please, Karl.
Very quick. I think it's the European University Alliances can help make the 5th freedom that is announced and that was by the European Commission, which is being prepared now and inspired by the former Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta, can make it concrete in terms of academic freedom and so on. And as such, European universities can help European integration, accelerate European integration.
Yeah, if it's a quick intervention, yes. After, because, sorry, but we have, you know, a time limit in which we can stay in the Athenaeum, and we still have a musical moment. So let's make room to culture and to music. But let's give to all of them a round of applause. Yeah, yeah. Thank you all for this reflexive moment, and hopefully we'll have many of that in the future as well. Thank you. Thank you. Oops. Oh, yeah, to sing. Oh, sorry.
partnership, and we are really, really honored to share this kind of experiences from the Romanian music, an old piece previously, and now a fantastic rearrangement of the musical tradition in Romanian style. What's fantastic. Thank you so much. And if you would like to give another round of applause for the Music Academy in Bucharest. Last word?
Yeah. Now it's time for another kind of music, namely food. And we'll try to be, and drink, of course. I mean, just food is not an alliance. We'll make an alliance between food and drink. Exactly. And we are really looking forward to fruitful discussion tomorrow morning and for the whole day and for the whole Friday. But now it's time to have this enjoyable moment, right, to eat together, because a family an alliance, I'm tired. An alliance is like in a family, and in a family you have quarrels, but also you have food and discussions. So let's have together all of this, like a family. Thank you.
And welcome, Magnus. After a very nice trip by train from Stockholm to Bucharest. Applauses to Magnus. Welcome here in the greenest mode possible as ever.